2017, a year of great movies, a year of bad movies, a year of weird artsy movies. A lot of fucking movies came out. I was very excited. I had a lot of fun. Now time for this obligatory year-end top 10 list. You better believe it. There are some movies that I really want to see but weren't released here in this country. I would love to see them, but too bad that's not how things work. Let's do it. From the guy who brought you Bone Tomahawk, Brawl in Cell Block 99 is yet another tale of brutality, except it feels fun this time. The drama is simple and effective, the action is extremely graphic and over the top, and its characters have way more nuance than any of the action heroes movies as of late. Although our hero, played by Vince Vaughn, does shocking things, he has a set of morals that he believes in, and the way he reacts to situations never betray who he is. We root for him despite how ridiculous things become, and there simply isn't any movie like this that I've seen this year. You might be asking, why am I including an episode of a TV show on this list? It's not a movie. What defines a movie? Does it have to be shown in theater to be one? Anyway, Finding Frances is a beautiful, sad, and at times hilarious documentary that follows Nathan Fielder on an epic journey to find an old man's lost love. For all we know, she might be dead, she might be married, she might be divorced, she might not even be in the same country. Nathan uses all the resources he has to track this person down for his friend. Although you don't have to watch the show to understand what's going on, you'll obviously have a deeper appreciation for it if you did, and you won't be as put off by the characters' strange personalities. This is a documentary at its finest, and I'm so happy that it came from a comedic reality TV show. Recuerdame. Pixar is known for tackling mature subject matter, and Coco centers around the Day of the Dead. Simply put, Coco is great. It's in the upper echelon of Pixar films. Sure, there is some suspension of disbelief with the logistics of the system that connects the living with the dead, and the score music, with the exception of Remember Me, is a bit traditional and generic sounding for my personal tastes, but it's very minor and insignificant to what the movie is able to achieve from an emotional and spiritual standpoint. Prepare to cry your eyes out. Martin McDonagh's 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is a brutal tale about a woman, played by Frances McDormand, who is hell-bent on finding the man who raped and killed her daughter. It's unflinching in its characterizations and isn't ever afraid to explore their flaws. Also, this movie is hilarious. Frances McDormand is a force to be reckoned with, in my favorite role of hers since Fargo. Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell are perfect character foils and makes the plot as intriguing as it becomes. It tackles themes like police brutality, parental negligence and redemption, and finding catharsis in a world that refuses to provide any answers. Having seen 7 Psychopaths and In Bruges, most of it anyway, I wasn't the biggest fan of McDonagh's work, but 3 Billboards excited me and left me with a lot of emotions that I didn't feel towards his other work. This is a phenomenal piece of cinema, and it makes me want to go back and rewatch his other stuff. This movie breathes Del Toro's passion for storytelling. There's no one on earth who loves his movies more than he does, so there were times that the movie did try too hard to explain the reasoning behind a character's actions or the deeper subtexts that really didn't need to be explained, but at least they were delivered with much charisma and excitement through actors like Sally Hawkins, whom I've loved watching since Happy Go Lucky, Octavia Spencer, Michael Shannon, and Doug Jones. The story is about a mute woman and a weird amphibian creature getting it on. It gets a bit weird during those parts, but it's portrayed very elegantly, so it's hard for me not to love seeing them together. The cinematography and mystical lighting complements Alexandre Desplat's romantic score. I appreciate that the film chose to focus on a bunch of misfits rather than the typical Hollywood straight white man out to save the day and stuff or whatever. Much appreciated. Good job. Awesome movie. A+. I don't really have much to say about Call Me By Your Name. Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer bring these characters' romance to life very delicately, and they walk a fine line between smug and endearing. The cinematography, soundtrack, and Sufjan Stevens' haunting score contribute to the often impressionistic atmosphere of a fleeting summer love. The story in the book goes on and seems to have a more finality to it, while the film leaves things a bit ambiguous. But oh man, what an ending. What an incredible journey. This movie feels like my first high, intense and faded into memory, and I want to experience it again. This one's for the romantics out there. Although I very much dislike every cut of the original Blade Runner, I really loved watching Blade Runner 2049, but after the intense backlash since the movie's release, I understand that for a lot of people it's not a pleasant viewing experience, and for that I can't wholeheartedly recommend it. But there was a trilogy of prequels that came right before it. The one that really stands out is Blade Runner 2022 Blackout, directed by Shinichiro Watanabe of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo fame. It's emotionally rich, dramatically complex, and masterfully animated, and my only complaint is that the pacing was a bit too fast and had to be accelerated to accommodate for its short runtime of 15 minutes. This movie is great, and it's well made, and you can totally watch it for free on YouTube right now. The Big Sick loosely follows the real-life story of Camille Nanjiani and Emily Gordon, and what I really love about this movie is its portrayal of the immigrant experience and the non-romanticized look at love and relationships. It understands that most things in real life doesn't usually wrap up neatly, especially not in the way that a romantic comedy would have you believe. It starts out like a standard romantic comedy and takes a hard turn in a different direction and forces its characters to readjust to their surroundings as well as the audience. In lesser hands, this would have been a disaster. Nanjiani and Gordon basically ignores all of the big rules of screenwriting to great effect, with some hyper-realistic cringe humor dialogue laced here and there to make the whole thing feel super uncomfortable. I only got to spend 2 hours with these characters, but came out of it feeling I've known these characters for years. At times hilarious, and at other times heartbreaking. This is definitely a movie that can't be missed. Do you like the Before trilogy? Do you like films by Yasujiro Ozu? If so, you're gonna like this. If you boil it down, Columbus is about two people walking and talking around a city. Not much really happens. You're just here to look at architecture, insanely meticulous cinematography, and great, virtually expositionless dialogue. On one side, we have a woman played by Haley Lou Richardson who wants to stay in Columbus to take care of her mother, but at the same time wants to leave and pursue her dreams. On the other side, we have a man played by John Cho who is stuck in Columbus after his estranged father is in a coma. When these two are together, it's nothing but chemistry. They develop a touching relationship that's hard to turn away from. This being said, Columbus isn't gonna be for everyone. You might find it boring and plotless, and I get that. But for the cinephiles out there, this is where the party's at. Lady Bird is my favorite movie of the year. It is mumblecore superstar Greta Gerwig's first solo directorial effort and follows a year in the life of a young woman played by Saoirse Ronan. Plot-wise, it's your standard coming-of-age structure which captures a very vulnerable time of a young person's life. Characters weave in and out and sometimes disappear from the movie with unresolved issues, which really drives home the realism that Gerwig wants to portray. The relationships between the main character, who calls herself Lady Bird, are complicated and at times frustrating. She's not just a rebellious girl who has Bikini Kill and Sleater-Kinney posters on her wall, and her mom, played so empathetically by Laura Laurie Metcalf is not just the adult who makes all the right choices. These are all qualities I want to see every time I go out and watch a movie, and this is done to perfection. This movie is amazing. Saoirse Ronan, who I can barely recognize in this role, and Laurie Metcalf are so damn endearing, and Greta Gerwig's direction is so poignant and precise that it's impossible for me to turn away from this movie. Lady Bird is a movie that I will cherish and watch again and again and again. So that's it, 2017. It was so good. Let me know what your top picks are. Subscribe to this channel if you want to. I upload a new video once every year, I guess. Look, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not totally invested in this YouTube thing, so if you subscribe, this will be a very casual commitment. One would even say that it's barely a commitment at all. Anyway, that's it. Have a good one.